Big Flim Studios in sunny Southern California. It's Big Flim's Pigskin Picks with your host, Lorenzo Big Flim Fleming. Hey everybody, what's going on? It's another sunny Saturday afternoon, at least here in California, where I'm currently in Northern California on military duty on my lunch break and trying to record this podcast episode for week 4 of the college football season with Big Flim's Pigskin Picks College Football Edition here on Big Flim Radio and TV. Alright, right now I'm kind of starting a little late with this recording, and I do apologize. Like I said, kind of got a little lazy again. I got to work on that habit, no procrastinating and all that good stuff. But that's another story for another time. So let's get right into our BFPP, that's my new abbreviation for Big Flim's Pigskin Picks, the college football edition. Alright, let's start off with my home state of Georgia. And to my fellow natives of Georgia, we have the number 1 ranked Georgia Bulldogs have another home game, as they host the University of Alabama Birmingham Blazers, or UAB Blazers. Of course, last week, like I said, they started off slow against South Carolina last week at home. In their SEC home opener, they were down 14-3 at halftime. And then Georgia woke up in the second half, scored 21 unanswered points against South Carolina, and they shut them down in the second half. So, like I said, Carson Beck, he's completed 74% of his passes through 3 games. But I know that, there's room for improvement. The O-line could do better. Their running game is pretty decent right now. Carson Beck need to engage his wide receivers and also get Brock Bowers, our premier tight end, more involved in the offense, especially the passing game, especially for the long yards. And like I say, hopefully they'll get a chance to break out in this game against UAB Blazers. Right now, the experts got Georgia at a minus 42.5 point favorite with over and under 53.5. So we're gonna say Georgia's gonna make it 4-0 today. And it's going to be a blowout against UAB today at Sanford Stadium's Between the Hedges. And it could be rocking and rolling in black and red there at Sanford Stadium on Vince Dooley Field. All right, my next home state team will be the Georgia Southern Eagles. They're 2-1. Like I said, they're traveling to Muncie, Indiana. That's in northeast Indiana, where they play Ball State, the Cardinals, I believe that's their mascot. They're 1-2. Like I said, last week, Georgia Southern kind of got shaken up a little bit when they went up to Camp Randall Stadium to play Wisconsin Badgers. So I kind of expected, or we kind of expected, that Georgia Southern would lose to Wisconsin, but that's done and we've moved on from that. So Georgia Southern Eagles will get back on the winning stride again by beating Ball State right now. They got Georgia Southern at minus 6.5 point favorite with an over and under of 60.5. So we're going to go with Georgia Southern on that one. All right. Now we're going to move on. There's a lot of key games being played today, especially one right now that's currently playing right now with the number 4 ranked Florida State at 3-0 visiting Death Valley Clemson Memorial Stadium, Clemson, South Carolina, to take on the Clemson Tigers. Like I say, Clemson started off with a loss, and everybody thought, oh man, they got stunned. It seemed like Dabo hasn't gotten it back yet, getting back to that championship way they had for the last several years. But so far, they managed to right the ship around, and they got their biggest test right now in the ACC, where they got Florida State coming to town, and also Florida State. They've been trying to turn their fortunes around over the last couple of years, stuff like that. So, and also Florida State is ranked number 4 in the nation. Right now, last I checked, the score is tied at 24 all, and it could be too close to call right now. Florida State has a minus 2.5 point favorite to win this game, and we're going to go with Florida State in a close one over Clemson. Sorry, Dabo. Hate to do it to you, man. We like you too, and the folks up there at Death Valley. But I think Florida State is going to squeak out of this one with a victory. All right, our next pick we have Army at 2-1. The Golden Knights from the United States Military Academy at West Point, heading up the road or northwest of them to Syracuse to the Carrier Dome to take on the 3-0 Syracuse Orangemen. Right now, the odds makers got Syracuse at a minus 14-point favorite with an over and under of 51.5. But being an Army Reserve soldier veteran, I'm going to stick with my guys with Army. Will probably beat Syracuse in a close one. All right, our next pick we have is the number 2 ranked Michigan State. Not Michigan. My correction. The Michigan Wolverines hosting the Rutgers Scarlet Knights. Both teams are 3-0, so somebody gonna get their first loss of the season. There's also a Big Ten matchup, and I know it's gonna be a lot of crowds there at Michigan Stadium, aka the Big House. I've seen that stadium like 4 years ago, not during the college football season, but it's an awesome stadium. Holds over 100,000 people, and I know it's gonna be packed for this game. I think Michigan's going to definitely pull out on this one. Right now, the odds makers have Michigan at minus 24 points favorite with an over and under 44.5. And who am I to disagree with the odds makers? So we're going to go with Michigan over Rutgers. All right, our next matchup, we have the Kentucky Wildcats at 3-0, traveling down I-65. Is I-65? No, I-75 from Lexington. If you're western part of central western Kentucky, you travel I-65 to Nashville, but Lexington, you take I-75 down. No, I stand corrected. Yeah, 75, and then once they get to Knoxville, then head to I-40 west to Nashville to get to Nashville to take on Vanderbilt at 2-2. Like I said, Vanderbilt started off the season very hot stuff, and they're doing pretty good, but they kind of cooled off a little bit over the last couple of weeks. And right now, this is their first true test for the SEC, as Kentucky comes to town at 3-0. Right now, the odds makers got Kentucky at a minus 13.5-point favorite, and with the over and under of 50.5. But who am I to argue with the odds makers? But my sentimental favorite is Kentucky. The Wildcats will win a close one over Vanderbilt at Commodore Stadium down there in Nashville. All right, our next pick is another SEC matchup where we have the 3-0 Auburn Tigers, aka the Auburn Kittens, the War Eagles, the War Buzzards, or whatever you want to call them. Their first-year coach, Hugh Freeze, is trying to turn that program around after several struggling years there in the plains of Auburn, Alabama. And right now, Hugh Freeze has kind of gotten them on a good run right now. They're 3-0. Right now, they're traveling to College Station, Texas, to take on Texas A&M with Jimbo Fisher. Right now, Jimbo Fisher is kind of like in the hot seat a little bit there. I think his job might be in jeopardy after this season. And right now, they're 2-1. So right now, the odds makers got Texas A&M at minus 7.5-point favorite with the over and under 52.5. But I give this one to my classmate Torrance Lynn Parker, who's a graduate of Auburn and a diehard Auburn Tiger, Kitten, War Eagle, War Buzzard fan. We're going to give this one to you, Lynn, if you're listening. Like I said, Auburn is going to squeak by Texas A&M in a close one. All right, our next pick we have is TCU at 2-1. Like I said, of course, we all know the upset by Colorado in the season opener. And so far, they've been on a 2-game winning streak to get back on track. And of course, they were the national championship runner-up. They got their butts handed to them by the current defending national champion, Georgia. So they're still trying to get over that beatdown from January. So as they host SMU, also 2-1. Right now, our odds makers have them at a minus 6.5-point favorite with the over and under 63.5. who am I to argue with the odds makers? So we're going to go with TCU over SMU. All right, our next pick we have is number 16 ranked Oklahoma at 3-0 as they travel to Cincinnati, the Queen City, to take on the 2-1 Cincinnati Bearcats. Yep, I guess you go see that Sooner schooner, traveling I-40, or is it I-44? How are they get to Cincinnati? They probably travel in the Sooner schooner. That'd be an interesting thing to see if you see that happen. But like I said, the odds makers have Oklahoma at a minus 14.5 point favorite with the over and under 57.5. So, with that being said, we're going to pick the Sooners over the Cincinnati Bearcats. All right, folks, we're going to take a quick break and we'll be right back with Big Flim's Pigskin Picks College Football Edition 2023 for week number 4 here on Big Flim Radio and TV. Hey folks, Big Flim Radio and TV podcast channel creator and host Lorenzo Big Flim Fleming here. And September and October is Latinx Hispanic Heritage Month. Big Flim Radio and TV wants to honor the lasting contributions and legacies of Hispanics, Latinos, Chicanos, and Latinx in the betterment of our society. Big Flim Radio and TV salutes you. Salute. Hey, what's going on, folks? I hope you had a good break, and I hope you're enjoying the games so far and the ones that you've seen already. Right now, we have some more picks to throw at you here. All right, our next pick, we have number 20th ranked Miami of Florida Hurricanes, aka Thunderstorm, out of Coral Gables, Florida. They're 3-0, and they travel up to Philly. They take an I-95. That's like what? 18-hour drive, I'm guessing, from Miami to Philadelphia to take on the Temple Owls at 2-1. Right now, old Cristobal, there, the coach there at Miami, he's doing a great job. He was a former Miami, Florida player himself. So right now, they got a lot of high expectations for them down there in Coral Gables. And right now, Miami has a 23.5 point favorite over Temple. And who am I, or who are we, to disagree with the odds makers? So we're going to go with the number 20th ranked Miami of Florida Hurricane Thunderstorm over the Temple Owls. All right, our next pick we have the BYU Cougars out of Ogden, Utah, as they travel east to Lawrence, Kansas to take on the 3-0 Kansas Jayhawks out of the Big 12. Like I said, even though the odds makers have Kansas as a minus 8.5 point favorite with the over and under 54.5, I'm an old school college football fan and I'm still sentimental about BYU. So we're going to go with BYU over Kansas in a close one. All right, our next pick, we have the 3-0 Maryland Terrapins as they travel to East Lansing, Michigan to take on the somewhat struggling Michigan State Spartans at 2-1. Of course, you know about the coaching situation there. Their former coach Mel Tucker got fired because of some sexual assault, sexual harassment allegations that were brought against him. He was suspended last week, but now the school decided to go ahead and terminate his contract, so they don't have to buy out what's left of his contract. So right now they're bringing in an interim coach. And also one of their former coach, Mike D'Antoni, is coming on as a special advisor for the team to help out in any way. And right now, Michigan State really needs to get back on focus because they got their butts handed to them last week by the visiting Washington Huskies, who they will play against each other starting next year in the Big 12. I mean, not the Big 12, the Big 10, excuse me. So they really need to get back on track here. So Right now, the odds makers got Maryland at a minus 7.5 point favorite at over and under 52.5. But I'm another sentimental team, and plus I have a family member who's a graduate of Michigan State, and I kind of follow their basketball team as well as their football team. So we're going to go with Michigan State over Maryland. All right. Our next matchup we have, this is going to be a good matchup that's been hyped since, early part of this week. Coach Primetime, Deion Sanders, and the number 19 ranked Colorado at 3-0, traveling to Eugene, Oregon to take on the 10th ranked Oregon Ducks, also at 3-0. And also, this is a big Pac-12 matchup. And this is going to be Deion's Primetime Sanders' big test for the Colorado Buffaloes. So there's a lot of people, like say right now, of course, I saw the game last week against Colorado State, how Travis Hunter got banged up pretty bad, and he's out for a couple of games. And so they need a couple of guys to step up to cover down for him. And while Shakur Sanders, the quarterback, and his brother, he's a defensive player, they need to step up in this game if they want to pull the upset and beat number 10 Oregon. And right now, the odds makers, excuse me, have the Oregon Ducks at a minus 20.5 point favorite with an over and under of 70.5. Like I said, if Shakur Sanders, or Shadur, I think I pronounced it wrong, and his brother, that plays defense, and the coaching of, prime time, if they can keep this game close, they might can pull the upset. But we're going to go with the experts, and we're going to go with Oregon over Colorado. I'll say by at least 10 points. Oregon's going to beat Colorado by 10. At least 10 points in this game. All right, our next matchup is a SEC matchup where we have the 15th ranked Mississippi or Ole Miss Rebels at 3-0 traveling to Tuscaloosa to Bryant-Denny Stadium to take on the number 13 ranked Alabama at 2-1. Of course, they had an early upset 2 weeks ago with the visiting Texas Longhorns. And also there's the battle of former assistant coach and current coach. Of course, Lane Kiffin, like I say, he had a checkered coaching history. Coached at Tennessee, coached at Florida International after he coached under Nick Saban and won 2 national titles with Nick Saban as an offensive coordinator. Got a head coaching job back at Florida International, turned their program around, and he left to take the Ole Miss job. This will be his third go around against his former mentor and boss. And right now, of course, Alabama's having a quarterback issue right now. So right now they're getting to start Melrose. Is it Melrose? Something like that. Right now, the last week, the Alabama really struggled against the University of South Florida Bulls. Figure a team like that, Alabama could have ran all over them, but they just barely got out of Tampa with the win. Like I said, poor quarterback play, poor O-line play. Ugh. Like I said, Nick Saban got to do what he got to do to try to get this team back on track. And then, like I said, Lane Kiffin, he might be primed for an upset and finally get a win over his mentor. We'll see. Right now, the odds makers got Alabama at a minus 7-point favorite with an over and under 54.5. But I think if Lane Kiffin stayed to their offensive game plan and let their defense, frustrate Milrose, I think it's Milhouse or Milrose, whatever the quarterback's name is. If they get them frustrated and overwhelm their O-line, I think Mississippi State can probably pull off an upset, and Alabama get their second loss of the season so early. So we're going to go with the number 15 ranked Mississippi Ole Miss Rebels over Alabama in a close one. All right, our next pick, we have the number 22 ranked Utah at 3-0 at home in Salt Lake City to take on the number 22 ranked UCLA Bruins, or aka the Teddy Bears, who also are 3-0, and this is a key Pac-12 matchup. This probably will be the last time they'll play each other in the Pac-12, as UCLA is planning to go to the Big Ten, and Utah, if I understand correctly, I think they're going to the Big 12 or the WAC. I got to find out where Utah is going after next year. But this is going to be a very key game. Like I said, Utah has beaten UCLA like 3 of the last 4 years, including twice last year. Utah beat UCLA twice last season. Beat him in the regular season and beat him in the conference championship. So, well, that streak continues for the Utes. Right now, the odds makers got the Utes at minus 4.5, 4.5, with an over and under 50.5. So we're going to go with the number 11 Utah Utes over UCLA. All right, our next matchup we have is Oklahoma State's Cowboys at 2-1 as they travel to Ames, Iowa, to take on Iowa State at 1-2. This is a Big 12 matchup. Right now, the odds makers got Iowa State at a minus 3.5 point favorite with an over and under of 36.5. Well, we'll see about that, but we're going to go with the sentimental favorite, Oklahoma State's Cowboys, over the Iowa State Cyclones. All right, our next pick, we have the Rice Owls at 2-1, which is led at the helm by a former USC, Georgia, and West Virginia quarterback JT Daniels. Seemed like over the last couple of weeks, JT Daniels seemed like he's starting to light it up for Rice Owls and stuff. Maybe he can finally get his footing under him and have a successful season, injury-free season, that is, because he's been banged up over the last 2 or 3 years with injuries. Hampers his ability a bit. Hopefully, if he can avoid injuries and play a healthy schedule this year, he might turn Rice around. Right now, they're traveling to Tampa to play the South Florida Bulls at 1-2 after barely beating Alabama last week at home. Right now, the experts have Rice at a minus 2.5 point favorite with a over and under of 58.5. Well, so I like to be sentimental with JT Daniels since he was a former Georgia quarterback for a season and a couple of games. So we're going to go with Rice Owls over South Florida Bulls. All right, folks, we're going to take another quick break and we'll be right back with Big Flim's Pigskin Picks NFL Pigskin Picks College Football Edition 2023 for week number 4 here on Big Flim Radio and TV. Hey, folks, did you know that Big Flim Radio and TV has 6 podcast channels, and we're getting ready to add another podcast channel soon that is dedicated to music, sports, mainly college and NFL football, but we're thinking about expanding that to other sports, talk, veterans issues and informations, and more. So if you haven't checked it out, please by all means check out Big Flim Radio and TV. And also check out their online store where you can find Big Flim Radio and TV themed merchandise or merch. You can buy something for someone special, a family member, a loved one, a stranger, an alien from Mars, or it could be a nice care package gift for a deployed soldier who's currently deployed in the danger zones out there in the world, defending our freedoms and our rights. So please check out Big Flim Radio and TV at www.bigflimradiotv.com. Again, that's www.bigflimradiotv. That's one word. That's BIGFLEMRADIOTV.com. And you can communicate with us through social media and through our emails if you want to be a guest picker on the show, as well, or prognosticator, as well as our NFL edition show for Big Flim's Pigskin Picks, or if you want to be a guest DJ for our music shows, if you want to send out a dedication, or if you want to send some kind of music that you want us to play on our music shows, or you're a new artist that want to be profiled on Big Flim Radio and TV to expand your music to get into the market out there, or if you want to be a sponsor of one of our podcast shows, and if you want to create a commercial for if you want to be a sponsor, you want to create a commercial, or you want to sponsor one of our podcast shows, by all means. Or if you want to send us a comment or a critique of our show, how we can do better. And also, you can also send us your criticisms, as long as they're respectful and kind. Well, not kind, but at least respectful. Please, by all means, contact us at bigflimradiotv@gmail.com. Again, that's bigflimradiotv@gmail.com. That's BIGFLEM as in Mike, RADIO TV, one word. And also, you can find us on now X, formerly known as Twitter, with our handle Flim_radio. Again, that's Flim at Flim, FLEM as in Mike, _radio, RADIO. We also have a Facebook group page with Big Flim Radio and TV. And also, we have a YouTube channel, Big Flim Radio and TV, where we try to record some podcast shows to go along with our audio podcast shows and episodes. And also, we have some video footage that we put on there, dealing with different things. So please check it out. Like I said, it won't hurt. And also, please pass the word on to your friends and your neighbors and your co-workers. So please check out Big Flim Radio and TV. We would really appreciate it. And also, you can like and subscribe to the Big Flim Radio and TV YouTube channel, as well as like our podcast episodes on your favorite streaming platform like iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, Deezer, Spreaker, iTunes, so on and so forth. Amazon Music, any streaming service that you use, Spotify, Pandora, whatever you choose. If you can find, Big Flim Radio and TV, the podcast episodes, by all means, please check it out. All right, folks, I think we need to start wrapping up this latest podcast episode of Big Flim's Pigskin Picks College Football Edition, week number 4, here on Big Flim Radio and TV. All right, our next pick we have 3-0 Wake Forest up at Winston-Salem, North Carolina, with a home game against the visiting Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets, aka the Rambling Wreck, aka the Broken Down Rex, at 1-2. Like I say, this one is for you, Roger Houston and Brian Knapp, if you're listening. Since that's your favorite team. Talk a lot of crap about, Georgia Tech, and talk a lot of smack about the Bulldogs, Georgia Bulldogs. This one's for you. Right now, the odds makers have Wake Forest at -3.5 point favorite, with over and under of 59.5. And we're going to go with Wake Forest over Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets, Rambling Wreck, Broken Down Wreck in a close game in Winston-Salem. All right, our next pick, we're going back to the Pac-12 or the Puke 12, where we have the Arizona Wildcats at 2-1, traveling to Palo Alto, California, to take home the 1-2 Stanford Cardinals. Like I said, Stanford really struggled a couple of weeks ago, and hopefully they'll try to get back on track. Right now, the odds makers have Arizona at -11.5 point favorite with over and under 59.5. But we're going to go with the Arizona Wildcats over the Stanford Cardinals. All right, our next pick will be the survivors of the Pac-12, who are trying to keep the Pac-12 conference alive after all the other teams, leave to go to the Big Ten or the Big 12 or whatever conference the other teams choose to go to. These two teams are trying to keep the Pac-12 going, with the number 14th ranked Oregon State Beavers at 3-0, traveling to Spokane or Pullman, Washington, the Palouse, down the Palouse River, to take on the number 21 ranked Washington State Cougars. Like I said, right now the odds makers have Oregon State at a -3 point favorite with the over and under 56.5. But I'm a sentimental favorite, and I was stationed in Washington State many moons ago, and I was kind of favoring those local teams when I was stationed there in the late 1980s, both the Huskies and the Cougars. So we're going to go with the number 20 or 21 ranked Washington State Cougars over Oregon State. All right, our next pick, we're going back to the SEC, the best conference in college football. That's the number 12 ranked LSU, Louisiana State University Tigers, Bengal Tigers, or Bayou Tigers, host Arkansas Razorback at 2-1 there in the other Death Valley in Baton Rouge, French for the Red Stick. Right now, the odds makers have LSU at a -17.5 point favorite. Who am I to argue with the odds makers? So we're going to go with the number 12 ranked LSU Tigers over Arkansas and Sam Pittman and the Razorbacks. All right, our next pick we have Memphis, University of Memphis Tigers at 3-0, traveling to Columbia, Missouri to take on the 3-0 Missouri Mizzou Tigers. These are the battle of the Tigers here. Right now, Missouri so far is doing good so far after 3 games. And right now, the experts got them in a -6.5 point favorite with a 51.5 over and under. So we're going to go with Mizzou Tigers at 3-0 over the Memphis Tigers. All right, our next pick we have, going to the Big Ten with currently 14 schools. We have the Minnesota Golden Gophers at 2-1 as they travel to Evanston, Indiana, north side of Chicago to take on the 1-2 Northwestern Wildcats. Right now, the odds makers have the Golden Gophers at a -11.5 point favorite with an over and under of 38.5. So who are we to disagree? So we're going to go with the Minnesota Golden Gophers at 2-1 over Northwestern Cougars. Well, Northwestern Wildcats. Correction. All right, our next game will be a major game in the Big Ten. And they consider this the whiteout game in Happy Valley, where everybody will be over 100,000 folks be in a whiteout mode there. As the number 24th ranked Iowa Hawkeyes at 3-0 travel to Happy Valley, State College, Pennsylvania to take on the number 7th ranked Penn State Nittany Lion, also at 3-0. And right now, Penn State trying to be overtake Ohio State and Michigan in the Big Ten East. I think it's the East Division title, so they got to keep that momentum going. The odds makers got Penn State at a -14.5 point favorite, and we're going to go with them to beat Iowa in a close one in the whiteout game tonight in Happy Valley. All right, our next pick, we're going back to the SEC where we have the Memphis Mississippi State Bulldogs, the other Bulldogs in the SEC, at 2-1 as they travel to William Brice Stadium in Columbia, South Carolina, not far from Fort Jackson, where I went to basic training at 2002-2003. And you can see a corner of the stadium from the main gate of Fort Jackson off I-77. Right now, the Gamecocks, aka the Game Chickens, the odds makers got them as a -6.5 point favorite. But since I'm not a big fan of the Gamecocks, aka the Game Chickens, so we're going to go with the lesser bulldog in the SEC, the Mississippi State Bulldogs, at 2-1 over South Carolina. Gamecocks, aka Game Chickens. All right, our next matchup is another big game tonight, or this afternoon. We have the number 6 ranked Ohio State Buckeyes, aka the Buckaroos, traveling to Fort Bend, Indiana, to take on the 4-0 Notre Dame, the Fighting Irish. Right now, they got Ohio State at a -3 point favorite over Notre Dame. But of course, I'm an old school sentimental favorite, so we're going to go with the ninth ranked Notre Dame in an upset over the number 6 ranked Ohio State Buckeyes, aka the Buckaroos. Our next game, we have the number 17 ranked North Carolina Tar Heels at 3-0, traveling up north to Pittsburgh and coal mining country Steel Town to take on the Pittsburgh Panthers at 1-2. Right now, the Tar Heels have a minus 7.5-point favorite with the over and under of 50.5. So we're going to go with the number 17 ranked North Carolina Tar Heels over Pittsburgh Tigers, or not Tigers, Pittsburgh Panthers. I stand corrected. We stand corrected, that is. Right. Our next matchup, we have the UCF, University of Central Florida Golden Knights, as they 3-0 as they travel to Manhattan, Kansas, to take on the 2-1 Kansas State Wildcats. Right now, the Kansas State has a minus 4.5-point favorite with an over and under 52.5. So we're going to go with Kansas State over UCF. We're almost done, folks. I know we're kind of a little running behind schedule, but we've got a few more picks, and we'll do our recap, and then we're done, folks. All right, our next pick, we have number 5 ranked USC, the Trojans, the mascot wearing a skirt, at 3-0 as they travel to Tempe, Arizona to take on 1-2 Arizona State. And that's a Pac-12 matchup. So right now the odds makers have USC in a blowout minus 34.5-point favorite. Who am I to disagree? So we're going to go with the number 5th ranked USC over Arizona State. And last but not least, another Pac-12 matchup where we have the Cal Golden Bears at 2-1 as they travel up north to Seattle to take on the number 8th ranked Washington Huskies at 3-0. Like I said, last week they put a spanking on Michigan State and East Lansing last week. And they were dominant in that game. And right now the odds makers have the Huskies at a minus 21.5-point favorite with the over and under 59.5. So who am I to disagree with the odds makers? So we're going to go with the number 8th ranked Washington over the Cal Golden Bears. All right, folks. Now it's time to do our recap of our picks for week number 4. We picked Georgia, the current number 1 team, defending two-time national champion. We picked Georgia in a blowout over UAB, University of Alabama, Birmingham Blazers. We picked Georgia Southern Eagles over Ball State. We picked number 4 Florida State over Clemson in a close one. We picked Army over Syracuse. We picked number 2 ranked Michigan over Rutgers. We picked Kentucky over Vanderbilt. We picked Auburn over Texas A&M. We picked TCU over SMU. We picked number 16 ranked Oklahoma over Cincinnati. We picked the number 20th ranked Miami, Florida Hurricanes, aka the Thunderstorm, over Temple. We picked BYU over Kansas. We picked Michigan State in a rebound game over Maryland. We picked number 10 Oregon over Colorado in a close one. We picked number 15 ranked Ole Miss, Mississippi Rebels over Alabama Crimson Tide. We picked number 11 Utah over number 20 ranked UCLA. We picked Oklahoma State over Iowa State. We picked Rice over South Florida, the Bulls. We picked Wake Forest over Georgia Tech, Yellow Jackets, Rambling Rex, Broken Down Rex. This one's for you, Roger Houston and Brian Knapp. We picked Arizona over Stanford. We picked number 20, ranked 21 Washington State over Oregon State. We picked number 12 LSU over Arkansas. We picked Missouri, the Mizzou Tigers over Memphis Tigers. We picked Minnesota Golden Gophers over Northwestern Wildcats. We picked number 7 ranked Penn State over Iowa in the whiteout game tonight. We picked Mississippi State Bulldogs, the other Bulldogs, over the South Carolina Gamecocks, aka Game Chickens. We picked number 9th ranked Notre Dame in an upset over number 6 ranked Ohio State Buckeyes, aka the Buckaroos. We picked number 17 ranked North Carolina over Pittsburgh, the Panthers, and we picked Kansas State over University of Central Florida, the UCF Knights. We picked number 5 USC over Arizona State, and we picked number 8th ranked Washington Huskies over California Golden Bears. All right, folks, that just about does it for this week, week number 4 of the college football season of Big Flips Pigskin Pigs College Football Edition 2023. Tune in again next week for another episode of Big Flim's Pigskin Pigs College Football Edition for week number 5. And also please check out Big Flim's Pigskin Pigs NFL Edition for week number 3. Or is it number 4? I think I lost track. Yeah, week number 3. So make sure I stay on track here. And also, by all means, please check out our other podcast shows. And also check out our online store at www.bigflimradiotv.com. Again, that's www.bigflimradiotv. That's BIGFLEM as in Mike, RADIO TV. Until then, take care, God bless, be safe. And also, COVID-19 is still running around out there, even though there's no longer a pandemic. But it's still out there, along with RSV, and also we're beginning another cold and flu season. So if you haven't taken your flu shot, by all means, please get it. I'm not telling you what to do, but you got to do what you got to do to take care of yourself and your family. Until then, be blessed, be safe, and take care from Big Flip Radio and TV. Big Flim's Pigskin Picks NFL and College Football Editions are a production of Black Rebel Productions in association with Flim Media, a division of LWF Enterprises, LLC. The opening theme music clips are the sole properties of CBS Sports College Football as well as Fox NFL Sports. This podcast is intended for entertainment purposes only.